I'm Richard Southern in the 680 newsroom. Wanted to start the weekend business report today by showing you what Canada's largest insurance company is doing to mark Remembrance Day. Manulife has put 11,800 Canadian flags on its front lawn of its headquarters on Bloor Street near Ted Rogers Way. It's to honor the more than 118,000 members of the Canadian Armed Forces who have fallen in service. This is the third year that Manulife has done this. Stocks moved higher this week. In fact, it was the 8th winning week in a row for the TSX, the longest streak of such gains since 2006. Oil helping matters. The price of crude close to $56 per barrel, the highest we've seen in more than 2 years. Apple hit a record this week. The technology giant reported strong earnings, and we saw long lineups for its iPhone 10, which went on sale on Friday. Big-time deal-making in the Canadian medical marijuana space that combines cannabis with Corona. Constellation Brands, the big U.S. beer maker, produces Corona beer, taking a 10% stake in Canopy Growth, the biggest Canadian marijuana producer. It's for $191 million, and the deal lends major credibility to the sector, could open the floodgates for further big investment. Canopy stock sharply higher this week on the news, just shy of $17. We heard this week from the former head of Sears, the man who was in charge of Sears Canada when it entered creditor protection. Brandon Stranzel says his plan to buy the retailer was well-reasoned, but he said the creditor protection process was biased towards liquidation. Those laid off from Sears and former retirees have largely so far been left out in the cold, missing out on severance payments, while executives set to pull in millions. Stranzel says he's sorry.
There is nothing good to say to anybody who loses a job out of a circumstance like this. The only thing to really say is, you know, I really feel your pain, and I'm very sorry that this is hard for you. Is there anything I can do to help you? And I've said that to a lot of people and have reached out to numerous people in the past few weeks to try and help them move on and find new opportunities.
Stranzel had been in week-long discussions to buy the retailer, but the potential deal fell through. But here's an interesting story. I want to see what you think about it. A Japanese company is giving non-smokers extra vacation time, 6 extra vacation days, to compensate for the time that their colleagues spend smoking at work. Tokyo-based consulting company kicked off the program after an employee complained about all the time lost by smoking colleagues who frequently disappeared to light up. This particular company, located on the 29th floor, so it takes about 10 or so minutes for someone to pop out and have a butt. Here's the interesting thing. Since the start of the program on September 1st, 4 out of the office's 42 smokers have kicked the habit. Finally, would it surprise you to know that self-driving cars are on the streets of Toronto right now? It surprised me. I came across my first ever self-driving car, maybe the first of many in my life. You don't know, this is maybe set to take off. This is what I found at Bloor and Church Street. It's Uber, and they are testing and mapping the streets of Toronto with these cars. They can be in autonomous mode. At some points, though, the company says there's always a driver behind the wheel just in case. And they're not taking passengers. That's just testing, but it goes to show self-driving cars, they're not just fantasy. They are here right now. In the 680 News Business Center, I'm Richard Southern for City News.